The senator from Missouri.
Madam President, I'd like to make a few brief remarks today about TikTok, an app that has dominated the news in recent weeks and that has dominated the internet in recent years. As most of you know, TikTok is used to create short music videos, and it has grown to be one of the most popular apps in America. More than 80 million Americans now have TikTok on their personal phones. And it might be easy just to assume that this app is harmless, music videos, diverting fun, but let me assure you, the security concerns surrounding TikTok are real and not lighthearted in the least. TikTok is currently a major security risk, both to our data security and to our national security. ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent corporation, is based in Beijing. And we all know that Chinese corporations and the Chinese Communist Party are in many ways the same thing. In fact, China's national intelligence law requires it to be so. ByteDance, as a Chinese company, is obligated to collaborate with Chinese intelligence services, including by sharing data. In fact, all of the data that TikTok and ByteDance collect, and they collect a lot of data, can be routed at a moment's notice to the Chinese Communist Party. TikTok is a uniquely intrusive application. The company openly admits that it tracks users' locations, it tracks users' keystroke patterns, it tracks the file names on users' devices. TikTok essentially claims the right to peer straight through our phones into our lives. I could go on. TikTok has censored content critical of China's treatment of Uyghur Muslims and has violated the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Now, in light of all this, in light of all we know, it is unthinkable to me that we should continue to permit federal employees, those workers entrusted with sensitive government data, to access this app on their work phones and computers.
The chamber, please.
Not only is it inappropriate, it is irresponsible. This app represents a clear and present security risk at a time when we need to be clear-eyed about the threat from the Chinese Communist Party. And that is why, Madam President, I introduced legislation to remove TikTok from government-owned phones and devices. Now, this is just common sense, and it follows steps.
Order in the chamber, please.
And it follows steps that the Pentagon has started to take on its own. But we badly need a uniform standard that can apply across all federal agencies and government organizations. Now, over the last few days, we've heard a lot about a potential acquisition or sale of TikTok in the United States, but no one can say yet what will come of those talks. Deals fall through all the time, and TikTok is a threat to the security of federal devices right now. Every day we wait is a day ByteDance can collect more information on and about Americans. Today is the day to take action. And even if TikTok ends up being sold eventually, it will be the responsibility of this body, the responsibility of all of us, to make sure that no trace of Beijing's influence remains, none at all. Madam President, I would like to thank my colleagues for their support, and I particularly want to thank Senator Rick Scott, who has been my partner on this effort from the very beginning. It's always a privilege to work with and collaborate with Senator Scott, as we have on so many areas, and he has been, as I said, at the forefront of this effort from the very beginning. He's here today, and I'd like to yield to him now to make a few remarks.
Madam President.
The senator from Florida.
First, I want to thank my colleague from Missouri. We got here at the same time. And both of us saw the dangers of Communist China, the dangers of the Communist Party of China, the dangers of the General Secretary of the Communist Party, Xi. We've watched a million Uyghurs get put in prison just for their religion. We've watched American companies have their technology stolen. We've watched as American jobs have been stolen, and we came up here, one of the goals that both of us had when we came up here is to stop this. We had the opportunity last year to visit the protesters in Hong Kong, and we got to hear from them firsthand their concern about what Communist China would be doing to take away their basic rights that were granted to them in the turnover from Great Britain to China on paper. But as we know, the Communist Party, the General Secretary of the Communist Party, doesn't care about any of these things. We've watched the Communist Party use drones to surveil us. We've watched, as my colleague has said, the TikTok become a worldwide phenomenon, and it's an opportunity for the Communist Party of China to surveil all of our citizens, or of our citizens are using it. So I want to thank my colleague for his effort in this regard, but not just this, but all of his efforts to hold Communist China accountable. There's a lot of work to do. As we know, this pandemic, it was way worse because of the actions of the Communist Party in China. So this is a common sense thing to do. We should not have TikTok on federal government phones. This is a good first step, but there's a lot more to do to continue to hold Communist China accountable and make sure we all as Americans understand that we are now in a Cold War. This is not a Cold War that America started. This is a Cold War that the Communist Party of China started, led by the General Secretary of the Communist Party, Xi. And we're going to have to continue every day to focus on how do we prevent them from surveilling us. And another thing Americans can do besides make sure you're not using TikTok is make sure you're buying American products and don't buy products from Communist China. You will do more to hold them accountable. The more we can do things like that, it'll change the dynamics, and hopefully, maybe eventually Communist China will come to their senses and stop being an adversary and eventually be merely a competitor. So I yield back to my colleague from Missouri.
Madam President.
The senator from Missouri.
I'd again thank Senator Scott for, again, his work on this effort, his leadership on this effort, his leadership across the board when it comes to standing up to Communist China and the Chinese Communist Party. I also want to thank my friend Senator Cotton and Senator Ernst, Senator Kennedy, Senator McSally, and all other senators who have backed this legislation, along with Congressman Ken Buck, who has led this effort in the House. Just 2 weeks ago,